Today, making enchiladas. The sound of the dishwasher is in the background. I'm sure you'll hear the kids screaming. Ingredients: flour, salt, cheese. I always fresh shred my cheese. Corn tortillas. We're gonna do green chili. Now, I'm living in Maryland right now, so actual roasting green chili and stuff is kind of hard to come by sometimes. Paste picante sauce, always hot. Some jalapeno garlic seasoning. Of course, we've got onions, tomatoes. Tomatoes and lettuce are going to go outside of the enchiladas. And, of course, our premium saltine crackers. These enchiladas will be casserole layered. They're not going to be rolled because this way is preferable by myself. And of course, it's hard to see this right now, but I've actually got chicken in here boiling so that I can pull it because these are going to be chicken enchiladas. And if you're wondering why the water looks like that, I've got that jalapeno garlic seasoning in the water already. Because I'm going to be using this water to obviously make the sauce and everything for the enchiladas. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is chop up the onions, shred the cheese, stick it into the bowls. So I will be back as soon as that is done. Alright, onions have now been chopped. If you're wondering why you can't see my face, I mean, I'm recording all this on my cell phone by hand. So onions are chopped. These onions are going to be fantastic. They're not overworked because we want as much flavor in them as possible. We don't want them to juice too much because that'll cause you to cry. But it's like the moment I even started touching these bad boys, my eyes watered. And I mean, I used to work at a hot dog place chopping onions all the time. I thought I had built up a tolerance to onions, but these bad boys are going to be flavorful. Now, I should take some time now to put some caveats into things. You know, if you want to use this recipe, you don't have to do the fresh shredded cheese. You can use the stuff in the bag. I always freshly shred my cheese because flavor. I think cheese that comes pre-shredded is dried out and doesn't taste as good. I like the taste of the fresh shredded cheese, how moist it is, how light it is, not dried out and overly thinned. Alright, so we got that. Next we'll be shredding the cheese and, of course, dicing up the tomatoes. Alright, tomatoes diced up to the size that I want them. And more about the onions as well. Some of these ingredients. It doesn't matter the tomato you use. Doesn't really matter what onion you use. Sometimes I use yellow, white. Sometimes I'll even use a red onion. Just preference. What flavor am I going for at the time? How big do I want the tomatoes to be? How, you know, what kind of flavor am I wanting? I'm making red chili or green chili enchiladas. Alright, be back after the cheese is shredded. Alright, cheese has now been shredded. How great that looks. See that? It's not dried out. It's not super stiff. And it tastes delicious. Again, I have a personal bias against pre-shredded cheese. It's convenient, but, and this is art to me, this cooking. You would love, and I grew up shredding cheese. Also for my enchiladas, I don't use sharp or medium cheddar all the time. Sometimes I'll use Colby Jack. Might use a Monterey cheddar, just whatever I'm feeling. Alright, so what have I done? Well, I took the water that the chicken was boiling in, I put it in the pan right now to set it aside. Turn the heat down over here. Now what I'm going to do is take this chicken and just quickly pull it. Ready. Not too much effort. We want some good chunks in there. This chicken can be nice and moist because it was boiled. Also, boiling it makes it pull apart easier. We want to keep that water that we set aside. One, that's the pan that we're making the enchiladas in. So it's gonna, you know, get some nice flavor with the leftover water that's in there. And again, we're using that water to make the sauce for the enchiladas because it's already got the seasoning in there that we want. So we will be back once we get the sauce made. Alright, so now I have added in some flour. I took the scoop out of a can of Gatorade powder, and that's what I use. I did 3 scoops of that for my flour. Flour is what's going to make the sauce thick. But right now, what I want to do is get all of the chicken coated well in the flour. I do not want to burn the flour, by the way, so I have the heat turned down right now. Between 6 and 7, about 6.5 out of 9. Slightly above medium heat. Alright, we'll be back when we add the sauce in. Alright, we mixed in the green chili cans, the green chili enchilada can, and the water that was in there. Not all of the water, I did it to a certain, you know, amount. Mixed it as I was pouring it in, pouring a little bit, mix it, pouring some more, mix it, get it to the consistency and that I want my sauce to be at, because I don't want it too thick, but I don't want it too runny either. I don't want it to feel watery. I want a nice thickness to it. But yeah, let's start layering up our enchiladas. Alright, sauce is all nice and warmed up. It's to the thickness and consistency that I want. Growing up, my mother would fry these first for a second before layering everything, but I don't like all that grease, so they just come in raw. It's funny calling something that's already cooked raw, but normally I'd be doing it in a much bigger pan than this, but I'm just cooking for my family for not a lot of leftovers. So, first layer down, put some salt in here. Honey sauce. Now, I know it says hot on the label, but when you cook this, it's not going to be terribly spicy hot. My wife, who is holding the camera for me right now, eats it. Probably didn't know I put the hot in there all the time, and it's not really spicy to her. Alright, so get that in, give it some onions. Next thing I'm going to do is start getting in the sauce. Line in the middle with the chicken. Get some sauce on the sides. Spread that chicken around, maybe get a little bit more chicken in there. Alright, now that delicious freshly shredded cheese. And next layer. Now, every middle layer that I'm doing, all the layers that aren't the bottom layer or the top layer, are going to have less corn tortillas than the bottom or the top, because we don't need a lot. Some salt, and we're just repeating this process over and over. I know I put the paste picante sauce last time before I put the onions, but I mean, this part doesn't matter as much. That, again, it's going to get smeared around. Chicken. Sauces. get that oven heating up to 350 as we continue to layer our enchiladas. Salt. This is sea salt, by the way, in my grinder. Back up real quick. Back up where you can see a little bit more of me. Get those onions in there. Okay. Back down. That was just for fun. Did you actually get me doing that?
I cut your head off by accident.
It's fine. Don't need my head. Okay. Turn off the heat. Looks like we got sauce for one more layer. And we got room in this pan for one more layer.
You don't put cheese in everywhere?
Yeah, I do. Did I forget cheese on the last layer?
Yes.
Oh, look at me.
I thought it was intentional.
For this purpose, it is. I mean, it's going to be music playing mostly. I'm going to separate the voice from the video and then cut it in and out. Alright, and now for the final layer as my son runs around making noise. Okay. And if you're at all concerned how I seem to have overfilled that, just know that everything is going to seep down into the pan as it is in the oven. Whoa! Okay. Okay. Alright, go ahead and pause it. Alright. We are sticking this in the oven at 350 for about, let's say 20 to 30 minutes. We want all those flavors of everything to just heat up, mix together, and I've got to clean up my mess. And we want the cheese on top to melt, and we want all the corn tortillas to just soak up all those juices, and the top one to get a little crispy. All right, let's see how things are looking. Survey says beautiful. Melted cheese, top's gonna be nice and crispy. Let's get this out the onion and start cutting and plating. All right, so let's start cutting this. Again, this is a much smaller portions than I normally make. Usually I'd cut this, instead of going down the middle into halves, I would go in thirds. But again, this is much smaller than what of a pan than what I normally make. And then all I'm gonna do Now, for all my gaming friends that wonder why I don't get on until 7 p.m. Eastern, this is part of it. Because after working all day, I still have to cook for the family. And that takes time. Do I cook every day? Nah, because as you can tell, and here in the background, there's gonna be leftovers. Right now in the house, I've got my 3-year-old, the 1-year-old, and the wife. But let's get this plated out and go from there. Alright, I know you would have loved to have seen me taking it out, but my wife isn't here to hold the camera for me this time. But comes out looking wonderful, delicious. Alright, end result. And what I will do,
automatic, I'm a savage. Shoot my best shot at you, a bad chick. When I grab it, better have it. I'll break you up just like a fragment. Tragic, Silk 738, catch him in the early stage, leave him at a pearly gate. Leave your whole world amazed if I gotta go and blaze. See the Navy seat on the early waves. You looking for me, got you locked in, you don't even know it. Got my baby loaded, just cocked it, she ain't even showing. Better team up or get beat up. Don't link up, we gon' sync up. Catch a wink, link, made the team shrink, now your team stuck.
And that taste with the fresh tomato and the enchilada
You already know the vibe.
Wonderful. Alright, this is how I make enchiladas for my family. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment on the video. Tell me what your thoughts are. Y'all have a good one.